welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren, and today I'm going to be looking at DefunctTV. It's a Defunctland subsidiary, I believe. This one is the history of the puzzle place. I have gone through moments in my life where I thought I imagined the puzzle place, because I loved this show. I watched this show a lot. It's like the only show that I watched as a kid, but I did thoroughly enjoy it. I'm glad to know I didn't imagine it, and I hope that my memories of it hold up, because I remember it being very good. Introduced you to a lot of different things. It was the thing that introduced me to like street food. Honestly, they did a whole like episode about street food or like traditional foods from around the globe. It was really cool. So I'm hoping that it holds up and that my memories of it are not going to be just crushed in that it's actually terrible. But let us find out. Let me introduce you to the childhood show I watched. Because I watched this more than... Oh, shush.
On April 29th, 1992, 4 officers of the Los Angeles Police Department were acquitted of charges of use of excessive force after being caught on videotape for beating a black man named Rodney King. The acquittal was the breaking point for the city of Los Angeles, long plagued by rising racial tensions, specifically between white, black, and Asian Americans. The ensuing riots, termed the LA Race Riots, lasted for over 6 days, resulting in 63 deaths, over 2,000 injuries, and around $1 billion in property damage. 2 months after the riots, Los Angeles Mayor Tom Bradley announced the creation of a new organization named Rebuild LA, founded to repair the city both physically and figuratively. The private organization solicited help from dozens of major corporations, raising around $500 million in the months following the riots. Rebuild LA was an unfocused and often unhelpful attempt to mend the city, but it did feature a few creative approaches to tackling issues related to racial inequality. One of these attempts was announced 1 year after the riots took place. On April 8, 1993, it was reported that Rebuild LA was granting $3.5 million to public television station KCET Channel 28 in order for them to produce a new preschool series to address issues related to race and culture. The show was named The Puzzle Factory.
Then they changed it at some point to be The Puzzle Place. DefunctTV. I had no idea why, like, what it started. Like, what started this show, honestly. I mean, how could I? I was a baby.
Development on The Puzzle Factory had begun 2 years earlier in 1991, when the Corporation for Public Broadcasting decided to modify its approach to allocating funds for the creation of programming. The CPB funded programs that were pitched to them from show producers. However, they were now interested in focusing their funds more deliberately, searching for a specific type of show rather than just sifting through proposals. The CPB noticed 2 gaps in their slate of children's programming: diversity and problem-solving skill development. In response to this, the CPB offered the largest grant ever for a children's show, $4.5 million, tasking the Public Broadcasting Service with finding a new series that met their requirements. Lancet Media Productions, a studio famous for producing the Emmy Award-winning series Reading Rainbow, stepped up to the plate with a pitch called The Puzzle Factory. The Puzzle Factory would feature a culturally diverse cast of human puppets that would learn to solve problems and recognize and celebrate their differences.
They had a greenhouse. I remember the greenhouse. And they had a really cool looking, I remember parts of the set. Mostly I remember the greenhouse.
Los Angeles PBS station KCET signed on to produce the series.
And I remember at least 4, I don't remember how many. I remember 4 of the puppets very, very clearly.
KCET president William Coben explained that the show would operate to, quote, teach kids the value of diversity and that differences are to be celebrated. They are living in a multicultural world, and they have to learn to accept their differences, to be non-judgmental, and to be tolerant.
Hashtag bring back Puzzle Place. That's awesome.
It was announced that the Puzzle Factory was awarded the $4.5 million grant from the CPB, and KCET and Lancet set out to secure the remainder of the show's budget, which was set at $10 million for a 65-episode season. The show was originally set to debut in the fall of 1993, but producers were not able to secure more funding for nearly 2 years. It would not be until Rebuild LA's contribution that the show's budget would finally increase, reaching $8 million total. Utility provider Southern California Edison funded Rebuild LA's contribution. Edison CEO John E. Bryson explained that, quote, "We want to be the leader in showing that we can build on the strengths of diversity." Rebuild LA's co-chair Barry Sanders believed that, quote, "The most effective way to make a difference in race relations is to get to the youngest members of society," adding that the national show was still related to
I mean, like, that's fair too, because it's like there's a line in the musical South Pacific. It's like you're not born like with racism. You have to be taught. It's like the song is you have to be carefully taught, and it's so true. So if you are taught as a kid that all people are equal and they all have value and their culture has value, then you take that with you into adulthood. And I think that's really important.
Rebuild LA's mission because, quote, "The experiment in race relations is uniquely LA."
Well,
By
I
this
don't know
point,
about
the
that.
Puzzle Factory's proposed $10 million budget had increased to $13 million.
Wow.
In order to support an outreach program to disperse supplemental materials to daycare centers, where KCET and Lancet believed a significant portion of their audience would be exposed to the series. This meant that the Puzzle Factory needed to secure an additional $5 million in funding quickly, as the show was set to debut in the winter of 1994. Coincidentally, at this time, conservative members of Congress were making another in an endless series of attempts to defund the public broadcasting service. This time, the argument was that PBS's failure to retain the merchandising rights to hit series such as Sesame Street and Barney and Friends had lost them millions of dollars in revenue, with this money instead going to the small production houses producing the series. Under pressure, PBS made efforts to secure profit sharing for merchandise stemming from their new children's shows. And this effort began with the Puzzle Factory. PBS pitched the series to various companies, and they were able to secure 7 licensing agreements for a total of $8 million over 3 years. PBS was also given a $3 million advance from these companies, which allowed KCET and Lancet to begin production on the show. The Puzzle Factory tapped many Sesame Street and Muppet performers for its cast and crew.
Cool.
Kevin Clash, a Muppet performer best known for puppeteering Sesame Street's Elmo, was hired to build the series' puppets and serve as the show's creative consultant. The Puzzle Factory would be centered around 6 kids, each with a different background.
I did not remember this girl, the blonde girl. I remembered these top 3. I remember those 3, and then
Factory would be centered around 6 kids, each with a different background that would be magically transported
her at the bottom. So these two middle kids here, I did not remember, but I remembered the other 4.
Puzzle-themed hangout space. Julie Wu was a third-generation Chinese-American girl from San Francisco. She was to be proud of her heritage, empathetic to her friends, and always happy to break into song.
Oh, your tongue gets all scrambled, then your tongue gets all mangled.
Okay, you know what? I feel like she might have influenced my entire life. That is the kind of song that I am constantly singing.
Thank you, Julie.
She was puppeteered by Sesame Street performer Alice Deneen. Kiki Flores was a first-generation Mexican-American from San Antonio, Texas. Kiki was described as an outgoing and inventive leader.
Hey, my name is Kiki, and did you all know I can speak to you in English y también en español?
Kiki would be performed by puppeteer Carmen Osbar, best known for puppeteering the character Rosita on Sesame Street. Ben Olafsson was a boy of German and Norwegian descent from Renner, South Dakota. Ben grew up without a father as his dad passed away before the events of the show. He was to be puppeteered by Jim Martin, known for his work on The Great Space Coaster and Sesame Street.
Yeah, the kids at school make fun of me because I wear glasses. So I don't want to have my picture taken with me wearing glasses.
Leon McNeil was an African-American boy from Manhattan's Upper West Side. Leon loved basketball, hip-hop, science, and joking around.
Will there be good weather for the family picnic on Sunday? Shake, 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 shake. And it says, outlook cloudy, check with me later. Well, at least this time it's a straight answer.
Leon McNeil was played by puppeteer Noel McNeil, known for his work on Sesame Street and Eureka's Castle. Sky Nakai was an Apache.
This one, these are the 2 that I don't remember. I mean, looking at him now, I kind of recognize the vibe, but nothing about the character itself, and I don't remember any of the incidents involving this character. The other 4, I have clear memories of either the little opening dance where they're in their little puzzle, or I remember specific things about them.
Apache boy from the White Mountain Apache Reservation in Arizona. He had a deep respect for his culture and a close relationship with his grandfather.
Oh, Leon, this is a special Apache pollen pouch. Yeah, my grandfather gave it to me.
Ooh.
See all these little beads here? Those are all sewn on by hand. And the little bells at the bottom are made out of tin.
Sky was performed by Sesame Street puppeteer Peter Lintz. Finally, Jody Silver was a Jewish girl of Lithuanian descent from Cincinnati, Ohio. Jody's parents were divorced, and she lived primarily with her father.
Wow.
First, I was kind of mad at my dad. That's why I didn't say anything. But then I thought, well, maybe Debbie's more important to him than I am.
What?
Wow.
Jody-
I'm like kind of like, they really did go all out on these and have very, very different like backstories and really realistic ones too. That's really cool. Again, like I have a few memories of this because I was watching this when I was 5 or something, and I just remember like it was kind of snowy. We didn't have a good TV or good cable, so it's like it was on PBS, but our PBS channel were like snowy AF. Like it sucked. But so far I'm like, this was a good thing. I'm surprised I was allowed to watch it. It's very progressive. Like, I'm shocked my mother let me watch this show.
He was puppeteered by Pee-wee's Playhouse puppeteer Allison Mork. While the show was clearly well-intentioned on the issues of diversity and inclusion, it was by no means perfect in its behind,
sense.
or more accurately, under-the-scenes representation. While Kiki and Leon's
that's-
puppeteers shared the ethnic background of the characters they were portraying, other characters such as Julie and Sky were performed by white puppeteers.
Yeah.
The show's writers did consult with a panel of experts to ensure that all of the details of each character's cultural backgrounds was accurate. But the show could have
Still.
done more to accurately represent these members of its cast.
For the 90s, pretty good. These days, yeah, you definitely want to get someone who is in the... someone who reflects the actual puppet.
The Puzzle Factory, now renamed to The Puzzle Works, shot 2
changed
pilots.
it again.
The first saw Julie introducing all of the kids in the Puzzle Works kitchen.
Oh, hi! Welcome to the Puzzle Works! We are so glad that you could have a chance to come and share breakfast with us today.
Leon and Jody explained that the Puzzle Works is a special place all its own.
Oh,
A land of shadow and substance.
Leon! It's
What?
a place where we hang out and share and have fun.
The pilots were successful, and the series
Leon
began
seems
taping
silly.
the first 40 episodes at KCET Studios, despite still being a couple $1 million short of their funding goal. When asked by the Los Angeles Times in the summer of 1994 whether the show was guaranteed to obtain the remaining funds, KCET Vice President Stephen Kolsicki said, quote, "Guarantee is a state of mind. We're going to get there." A few months later,
like it.
Kolsicki reported that KCET was so close to finding more funds that he stated that, quote, "I can feel it in my nostrils."
this guy's
Despite the
wild.
confidence, the Puzzleworks wrapped filming on its first 40 episodes without securing the funding needed to film the remaining 25 that were required by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting's grant. The decision was made to begin delivering episodes to PBS stations in hopes that the show would be received well enough to secure the missing funds. The show was also renamed one final time, with the performers dubbing over mentions of the Puzzleworks with the new title. On January
Place.
16th, 1995, the new show, named The Puzzle Place, premiered on PBS stations throughout the country.
Something worked.
I know something that I want to share.
Along with me to find it. It's everywhere.
Yeah! Yeah, I remember this part. Oh, this is so nostalgic. Oh,
The first
man.
episode extended a short plot found in the original Puzzleworks pilot. Julie Wu is in the Puzzle Place's basement, talking with her teddy bear puppet, Tippy Wu. Julie laments that children sometimes make fun of her last name and how it hurts her feelings. Her friends eventually find her and ask her what she was talking about with Tippy. Julie explained that she was telling Tippy that if his last name was going to be Wu, that he should be ready for other kids to make fun of it. Julie thought the other kids wouldn't understand, but all of them share their own examples of how their names have been made fun of.
Oh, you mean like when people say to me, "Hey, Jody Silverware, how's your knife and fork?"
Or like when they call me Cloudy Sky instead of just Sky.
Yeah. You mean it happens to you guys too? Sure.
You know know what? Looking at her, I think she's the reason I wanted pierced ears as a kid. Because I don't remember a time I did not want pierced ears. And looking at some of these girl puppets with their pierced ears, I blame them.
Julie appreciated her friend's sympathy, and the six started a song about how you should be proud of your name.
Aw.
My name says a lot about me.
My name makes me me.
I got my name when I became part of my family.
This type of conflict was a trademark of The Puzzle Place. The show touched on the issues of discrimination and prejudice in a very personal and specific way. In another episode, also featured in the original pilot, Leon is invited to his friend Jimmy's birthday party, but Jimmy's mother does not want him to come.
Well, I could be wrong, Leon, but I don't think she wants you to come to the party.
What? That's impossible.
After this, a series of clips from real children were played, with
See, I remembered this part too. Like, I remember the real children thing, which is why I remember the street food thing so clearly, because it was like real life. And I think that might have been the greenhouse that I was thinking of, that those two were in just there.
each describing their own experiences with discrimination.
Some kids won't play with me just because I have dreads.
Sometimes I'll approach somebody and they're hearing, and I start to converse with them, but they find out I'm deaf. And then they kind of walk away and I get lonelier. And there I am by myself.
Aww.
As much as the show helped kids navigate discrimination, it also helped them celebrate their diversity. In the 20th episode, Julie shared the Lunar New Year tradition with her friends, who were eager to learn more about her culture.
You know, Julie's showing us all about the Lunar New Year celebration.
Yeah, and the good luck that comes with the dancing dragon.
In addition to the six main characters, the show featured a dog and cat named Nuzzle and Sizzle. Nuzzle and
remember
Sizzle
them.
inhabited the puzzle place and frequently observed or paralleled the main story of the episode. The animals often spoke to one another, but were quiet when around the show's human characters.
He called me a pretty cat and a snooty patootie.
No.
Yeah.
Not a snooty patootie.
Yeah. Oh, it made me so mad.
Sizzle was performed by Alice Deneen, and Peter Lintz performed Nuzzle in the first
Oh,
season. In addition to Nuzzle
Peter
and Sizzle,
again.
the puzzle place featured the Peace Police, P-I-E-C-E. The four policemen did not have names, but each had a distinct color: orange, blue, green, and purple. Their vocabulary was limited, with the Peace Police only speaking in grumbles.
I don't remember these guys at all. But imagine watching this, but with like a snowy filter. Like, it was all pixelated. Like, I tried so hard. I loved this show.
As the first 40 episodes made their way to PBS stations, families and critics praised the show and its powerful messages. One of the series' creators, Cecily Truitt, spoke to the intent of the series. Quote, "The fundamental message of the show is that we are all human beings. We are individuals and we have things about us that make us special. We are not just tipping our hats to a political issue."
I
A few
it.
critics of the show claimed that the messages of tolerance were too politically correct or liberal for a publicly funded show. Truitt stated bluntly, quote, "Anyone who says multicultural education is creating conflict has their head in the sand." In episode 39, Will
And it's like, okay, look. Embracing multiculturalism and learning about other people and their cultures, and that should not be political. And the fact that it is drives me crazy. Like, we all have to share this planet. We might as well learn about each other. Why can't we just learn about each other? Why does it have to be political for kids to understand that other people, even though they don't look like them or have the same religion as them, makes, like, it doesn't make them worse. It makes them different, and that's good. God. There's whole movies about why being all the same is terrible. It's like the Stepford Wives. Like, there's The Wrinkle in Time is a book, but like again, there's so many like pieces of media where we talk about how like sameness is not necessarily a good thing, and then as soon as you get something that's like, well, we have to learn about why this person is different or why they have an issue, it's like, well, oh, but we can't talk about that. Why? Shut up. Let people speak their lives. Anyway.
Willing and able, Sky introduced the gang to his friend Kyle O'Connor, a redheaded, basketball-playing Irish American who used a wheelchair. Throughout the episode, Kyle educated his new friends at the puzzle place on his chair and what it was like to use one.
Can you show us how it works, Kyle?
Well, sure, no problem. I just put my hands on the wheels here. I let my arms do the pushing. Yeah, my wheelchair is built to be safe, fast, and flexible.
The episode also featured live-action footage of other people that use wheelchairs shopping, working, playing sports, and having fun in various ways.
That's really cool.
The episode also explained the many ways vehicles and buildings could be built to be more accessible to people with disabilities.
We're
While
still
the first
pretty bad
40
at that.
episodes aired, merchandise for the puzzle place began to hit store shelves. Dolls, games, lunchboxes, electronic games, children's clothing, and videotapes went on sale. The puzzle place was a success, but it still lacked the additional $2 million in funding to complete the 65-episode season. Despite this, the show went into production on these 25 additional episodes based on the prospective merchandise sales alone. This put intense pressure on KCET, but they were still confident that they would be able to secure the rest of the funds.
It
would not be until June of 1995, nearly 6 months after the show went on the air, that the producers would finally receive another contribution. This time $1 million from Sears.
So then
With the new
like
funds, the puzzle
1.3?
place pushed forward on the remaining 25 episodes of season 1, which many consider to be the series' second season despite being part of the initial order.
that tracks.
Luckily, in August of 1995, IBM contributed $2 million to the show, finally achieving and surpassing the show's production budget. This was fortunate because many of the Puzzle Place merchandise lines had failed, as they were released too soon after the show premiered, not giving time for audiences to get to know the characters before the merchandise hit store shelves. The cast and production team remained unchanged for the final episodes of the initial order, with the exception of Allison Mork leaving the show, with puppeteer Stephanie DeBruzzo taking over the character of Jodie Silver. Jim Martin also directed an episode of this season.
Wait, is that how big they were? That's pretty tall. I didn't realize how large the puppets were. That's crazy.
The character of Jodie Silver. Jim Martin also directed an episode of this season, and Noel McNeil became a writer. The remaining episodes of season 1 continued the show's themes of multiculturalism and problem resolution with the same passion and care as before.
If you like something, you should do it, even if other people make fun of you.
Damn
On
straight.
January 15th, 1996, the Puzzle Place began airing
As
these
long as
new
it doesn't
episodes,
hurt anybody.
starting with the holiday-themed Deck the Halls. The episode started with Leon in New York at an outside skating rink, waiting for his friends. He shared a video of New York's many icons decorated for Christmas time. Leon then recalled a time that he and his friends set up a giant Christmas tree back at the Puzzle Place. In the flashback, Julie, Kiki, and Ben added candy canes and ornaments to the Christmas tree, but Jodie refrained, as she did not celebrate Christmas.
Jodie, you don't seem very excited about Christmas.
Well, we sort of don't do Christmas at our house, Ben.
Oh, don't do Christmas? Jodie!
This was a surprise to Ben, who knew Jodie was Jewish but did not realize that meant she did not partake in Christmas festivities.
Yeah, but Jodie, don't you feel left out?
No. Well, maybe sometimes. A little. But that still doesn't make me want to celebrate Christmas.
This made Ben sad that his friend was missing out. Ben then found Jodie's menorah and placed it on the Christmas tree, believing that it would make her happy to have her tradition merged with his.
Wow, Jodie will be so happy. She'll feel like Christmas is her holiday too.
Instead, Jodie was upset as she discovered her menorah was missing, and Ben eventually told her that he had put it on the Christmas tree.
I knew she'd be surprised.
Ben, how could you put my menorah on a Christmas tree?
Jodie became upset and asked for Ben to take it down, explaining that the menorah's significance had nothing to do with Christmas. After listening, Ben apologized, and Sky noted how beautiful the menorah looks with all of the candles lit.
Aww.
Later on in the episode, everyone returned to the Christmas tree in their best clothes for a holiday celebration. Leon arrived with the Kinara, a candle holder used by his family during the celebration of Kwanzaa.
You're carrying a menorah.
Ben, this is a Kinara. A Kinara is an African-American candle holder, and you use it to celebrate Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa?
Mm-hmm.
You
Ben's
mean
learning
there's
so
another
much.
holiday going on here?
At the end of the episode, all of the characters exchanged gifts and reflected on the similarities between all of their celebrations. With the conclusion of the flashback, Leon continued to wait for his friends at the ice rink. After his friends arrived, they each had their own difficulties mastering ice skates.
Hey, you guys!
Oh, the sillies.
Finally able to reveal his surprise to his friends, Leon introduced Patti LaBelle, who hooked them up with hot chocolate and initiated a round of holiday music.
Jingle, jingle bells.
Noel McNeil recalled the puppeteers having to lay on top of one another on sound blankets placed on the ice rink in order to get the shots for this episode.
Dang.
Other
Oh, okay, so
episodes
they actually went to the ice. Oh my god, good job for the other, for the freaking people in the background then. Crazy. I thought that they just sort of did a green screen. I mean, it looked good for green screen, but dang, that's even good for the other skaters for not ruining those shots.
featuring celebrity cameos included Bully for Jody, in which Jody looked to actor and comedian Sinbad for advice on dealing with a guy at school who stole her lunch every day.
Well, there's this guy at school who picks on me all the time. He steals my lunch every day, and he scares me.
You know what? You do have a problem there, Jody.
Sinbad said he could offer 3 recommendations to Jody. Option 1 was to talk with him, which Jody was uncomfortable with. Option 2 was to avoid him, which she also did not feel was the best option. Lastly, he offered option 3, which was to tell a grown-up. Jody vowed to do that the next day, and Sinbad told her to call him and let him know how it went, though he also offered another option if option 3 did not work.
Plan D is you can call Sinbad, and I'll talk to the bully, all right?
Another episode, titled Leon Grows Up, featured Terrence T.C. Carson of the sitcom Living Single, giving advice to Leon.
You know, Leon, lots of groups have these ceremonies to help boys become men and girls become women.
I know.
But the ceremony alone isn't enough to do the trick, man.
What?
The show would also sometimes feature guests from other PBS
Sherlock
shows,
Holmes?
like when Lynn Thigpen made an appearance as the chief from Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
That's fun.
These cameos most often appeared on the Puzzle Place's smart computer, Weebus.
Weebus, please call my cousin Mark.
Ah! Look at them
The
go.
new episodes of The Puzzle Place premiered on weekdays from January 15th through February 16th, 1996. After this, PBS stations continued to air the 30-minute episodes as reruns. The Puzzle Place characters also made appearances at public events, including the White House to support PBS and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and in the Rose Parade. A final season of Puzzle Place was ordered, but with a much smaller commitment of 10 episodes. By the time the final season began production in 1998, some of the performers had moved on to other shows, such as Noel McNeil, who began starring in Disney Channel's Bear in the Big Blue House. McNeil continued to provide the voice for Leon, with puppeteer Eric Jacobson taking over the performance. Peter Linz, who also began puppeteering Bear in the Big Blue House, left the show as well, and his character Sky was taken over by puppeteer Matt Vogel.
I don't know what to say, or even how to say it.
Stephanie DeBruzzo began performing on Nickelodeon's Wubulous World of Dr. Seuss.
Never heard of that
So
one.
Jody's puppeteer was changed once again, with performer Terry Hardin taking over the role. The additional 10 episodes aired in late 1998, with the final episode airing on December 4th, 1998. This would be the final episode of The Puzzle Place. By this point, the show had expanded its mission to live shows and mall appearances, which continued until around 1999. The show was also broadcast outside of the US in numerous countries and languages. Reruns of the show continued to air until 2000. The show received a few VHS releases throughout its run, and home recordings have made their way to YouTube. But unfortunately, half of the series has been lost, and there are no current plans to make the series available, with many unsure who holds the distribution rights to the show. The Puzzle Place was a groundbreaking show for children's entertainment. The show came about during and directly because of a tipping point in the United States, caused by a failure to address generations of racial prejudice and discrimination. The Puzzle Place stepped up to the challenge by teaching a generation how to address the topic and many others. The show taught children to recognize their similarities and celebrate their uniqueness, not just in broad strokes, but with ultra-specific and ultra-authentic conflict. The show admitted that navigating race, ethnicity, religion, culture, and gender could be a complex puzzle, but one that could be solved with kindness, understanding, and love. And for many children growing up with the show, they found hope and comfort that no matter their background, there would always be a place where they could be accepted and celebrated.
I'm so glad that it seems like it holds up. There's so many things that you watched as a kid that it was like, then you learn about it later and you're like, oof, oof. But this is so nice. And I still agree with the message. And that really sucks that it's gone. I mean, right now, again, this is like another good time to release something like this, except for the fact that PBS is in trouble and Congress is full of awful people.
The Puzzle Place.
Oh. Yeah, I remember this show not incredibly vividly, but I mean, because I was like, again, 5 or something when I was watching it. But, ugh. It was so good. Okay. I'm glad that my memories of this show hold up and that it's still good. And that I still agree with the messages. And honestly, like I said, I'm really shocked that I watched it as often as I remember watching it, because I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of television as a kid. And like I watched this, I remember more about this show than I remember about like Mr. Rogers. I watched Mr. Rogers a little bit, but I definitely remember like it being excited to go and watch The Puzzle Place. And I don't know, I feel like now I might not like maybe my mom told her, I don't know, like maybe she was more chill back in the day. She might have gotten a little radicalized. Because like thinking about some of our conversations, I'm surprised she would have let me watch this one. But I'm glad she did. I'm glad that this is something that I did watch as a kid. I feel like there are some things about it that definitely that definitely stuck with me. Like my singing about like random stuff and the desperate desire to have my ears pierced. I think maybe this had something to do with that. Thanks for, I mean, this was a little trip down nostalgia lane for me. I know I got on a soapbox a little bit, but I'm not sure if it's a soapbox. I feel like it's just true. Like, we're all different, and learning about those differences is really important, and ignoring them or trying to shove them under the rug is bad. And having kids learn about how other people and places and cultures are different is a good thing. And it will, like, if they know about that as a kid, then they learn how to be tolerant as an adult. And I think that's really important. And it's too bad that we don't have access to this show anymore. And again, I've literally never met another person who's ever watched it. Never have I met another person who watched this show. I was like, did I imagine it? But no, I didn't. And apparently other people did watch it. If you did, let me know. And if you didn't, and what show did you watch? Like, what was your go-to? Because again, like I said, we watched a little bit of Arthur, but it was so hard to get like PBS working on our television. Our television sucked. But anyway, thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.